Good evening, everybody.
Hello,
Welcome,
lady.
welcome to our very first Wednesday night with Life Live. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
My phone is
Brooks,
going crazy right
mine
now.
is too. I love it. That's a good sign, though. That's a good
Yeah,
sign.
it is.
It is a good sign. So, I'm Angela. That's Melissa. That's Heather. Welcome to Trekking Life. So, I wanted to start off with a couple of things. I just lost my page. But that's okay. So we're gonna be talking about a couple tonight. We have a subject for the ladies, and we have a subject for everyone. Okay. So tonight we're gonna talk a little bit about safety and how we feel in being out there. All right. But I did want to mention a couple of things. First of all, we know that there was a pretty bad accident this afternoon at Camp Lejeune, and there's some fatalities. So we want to, send our condolences, let them know that we're thinking about them. We have a lot of veterans watch us. So, everybody, we do know, things are happening. So we wanted to mention that. And so, ladies, I'm going to start with some things that I read this week on CPL Life, that women don't feel safe. Women drivers don't feel safe out there. Okay. I have never myself incident. I feel relatively safe. I'm also pretty private, I know the risks that are out there. I know, the things that could happen. I give off a don't mess with me vibe most of the time. And that may be helpful, to where I am right now, that I've never had a bad incident. I've never really felt unsafe anywhere, at a customer truck stop, at a rest area. But like I said, I give off a vibe that just says don't mess with me. And it is what it is. Some people call it, being a bitch. Some people, just say I'm not friendly, I'm not approachable, but that's okay. I'm just taking care of myself. So what do you girls think? How do you feel out there, Missy?
Well, for the most part, I feel exactly like you, and I'm a very private person. It's just me and the dog out there. But about 2 years ago, I did have an incident happen. And of all times for it to happen, it was 7 o'clock on a foggy morning up in Kentucky. I had just locked my door, was going to go wash my face, brush my teeth, and call it a night, and left everything, including my phone, in the truck. And walking to the truck stop, this guy pulls his truck up like right out of the fuel aisle and stopped me, and just kind of was hitting on me. And it was just like, oh no, we ain't doing this. And when I came back out, he was walking towards my truck. And so I didn't have anything. I had literally just changed over trucks with this company. So I went from a full size truck to a lightweight. So I didn't have everything organized the way I wanted it. I didn't have my wasp spray in there. I didn't have my screwdrivers in my doors. I didn't have anything that I had done in the past. And of all times, for somebody to come over and try to, quote, tell me he was going to come into my truck and sleep with me, it was like, oh no, we're not doing this. And so the whole situation was one of these. I was more mad at myself about the situation. And then after the fact, it was like, all I want to do is go shut the doors, lock them, go to bed, And he ended up putting his hands on me, and it was like one of these, like, you need to, and I know we're trying to stay family friendly. So, it was like, you need to get your hands off me. And so me overthinking it was, what we women do. We're like, I just want to get rid of the situation and get over it. And then I was mad about, like, I should have done something about it, but I just wanted to diffuse the situation. I felt like I didn't have anything in reach for me to do anything. And so when I woke up, I ended up calling his company, and I got his number for his truck. And what's so funny is he had been parked across from me. I went to sleep. He did try to open my door. I mean, he actually knocked on the door. Dogs went crazy. He actually tried to unlock the door. I mean, tried to open the door with the handle. And it was like, you got to be kidding me. And so he was parked like across from me. Well, when I woke up, he was like right next to me. And so I had to call my company and say, hey, I'm going to PC to a safer spot. This is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, this is one situation out of, I mean, yeah, I'm considered a newbie by some. To me, I'm not a newbie. I've been out here 3 years. I'm like you. I'm a very private person. I try to park somewhere where I know once I shut down for the day, I don't get out. You know, I know a lot of people that get out and they socialize, and it's like, how do you do that? You know, but for me, it's a job. I absolutely enjoy and love my job, but I also like my downtime too, and my curtains go closed at the end of the night. So.
Yeah, exactly. What do you mentioned wasp spray. So what else do you carry with you for protection?
Well, I've got the wasp spray, and I recently just got a taser, but I haven't went back on the road with that. I got my tire thumper. I do have knives in my kitchen, and so I always keep it, you know, somewhere, like especially at nighttime. You kind of strategically place stuff. I don't know if anything else other than that's pretty much my go-tos. You know, the mace is right there on a hook right next to the door. And so that's my go-to, and that goes into my pocket if I feel like I'm in an unsafe area. For the most part, I think that like shipping and receivers, those, to me, I've never had an issue at those places. You know, they're, even when they're not well lit, I feel like I don't, maybe I let my guard down, and maybe that's probably a bad thing on my part. But, you know, the truck stops and the rest stops are the ones that I really, really watch, you know, and you got to have, you know, your head on a swivel. So.
Yeah, exactly. What about you, Heather?
I've only had one time where I wasn't safe. Well, I didn't. It really wasn't like in a parking lot or anything. It was at a McDonald's, actually. Pat went inside in Oklahoma. He went inside to get our breakfast, and he always tells me, lock the door. Mm-hmm. And I'm too trusting, and I never lock the door. I'm like, he'll be right back. I don't need to lock the door. I'll just, you know, he'll be right back. But I should have probably listened to him. But we were sitting there for like 10 or 15 minutes, but this homeless guy came up to the truck, and he was like, you know, whatever. And I wasn't going to roll my window down. And I was just like, go away. I don't have anything. No, you know, whatever. And he just kept standing there staring at me. And I was like, okay, I'm getting a little uncomfortable. This dude is staring at me. And I did lock the door at that point when he was just standing there. But I got up to open the door for Pat because he came with our stuff. And as I got up, he was standing on the side, on the step, trying to get into the truck. And I screamed my head off, like, get off our friggin' truck. Not really friggin', but, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, get off our truck. And he thought I was a maniac, so he jumped and he ran. And I was like, dude, you don't get on somebody's truck, you know. And but we couldn't find him because after Pat got it, he was like, where is he? And I was like, I don't know where he went. He, like, took off. He thought I was some crazy woman, you know, yelling. But yeah, that was the only real experience I've ever had, really. I mean, because he makes sure he's always with me. I'm never really alone if I go anywhere, you know. I mean, other than, you know, lot lizards like knocking on the door or something, we've never really, you know, had any craziness happen to us. So
yeah, well, that's good. That's good. And that actually speaks a lot, you know, because obviously things happen, but if we can collectively say, you know, we've had one incident, maybe that's a good indication that it is, you know, relatively safe out there. Mm-hmm. You know, I drive solo, as does he, and one of the things is that I do not get out of my truck at night to go inside to use the restroom. I have a porta potty, and you know, loud and proud, because I'm not getting out in a rest area or the back lot of a truck stop at 2 a.m. to walk inside. You know, that's asking for trouble. It shouldn't be. But if you see a female walking at 2 o'clock in the morning across the lot, what are you going to think?
Right.
She's either there to work, or so, you know, I carry wasp spray. I've got knives. I've got tire bouncer. I, you know, load locks that, you know, I don't know what you call them, go between the doors. You know, there's, thank you, Ed. I like that. Porta potties for the win. Okay. You know, but there's a lot of things that we can do, and carrying ourselves in a confident manner, you know, is one of the biggest things that us women can do, you know. So according to the survey that they conducted, 96% of women said that they try to be aware of their surroundings. Biggest thing you can do is open your eyes and, like Missy said, have your head on a swivel. Know what's around you. Know trucks moving. Know people moving. Know what's going on. If you've got your head in your phone or your head in the clouds, you're not paying attention to what's going on around you. 77% try to stick to a lighted area of the truck stop or rest area. That's not always possible, but I agree. I put up my curtains at night. I don't know about you, Missy, or you, Heather, but I put up the curtain. I can't see into my truck. Who's in or what they're doing. And I prefer a corner away from everybody, because everybody wants to be, you know. So if I'm not getting out, I go to the back. You know, there's lights in every corner. That's I agree with that. 44% carry personal safety product like mace. Carry mace. I could, I guess. It's not really a that I don't agree with it. I go to Canada, and so that's illegal to carry across the border. So why am I going to buy something that I have to throw away?
Right.
26% carry a firearm. I wish. I wish that was legal for us. You know, 26% admitted that they do it. So, you know, there's that. There's that. But, you know, someday maybe we can figure out the laws and we'll be able to do that legally. 15% said that they carry a device that makes a noise like a whistle. Yeah, you know, I have a loud mouth. Let's be honest, you know, if it's happening, everybody around me is going to know it, because I am loud, and I fight back. So I'm not going to, somebody start like, you know, excuse me, who do you think you are? You know, we're going to go to town. I may come out losing, but we're going to go to town on it. So I want to address some of the comments that came up. Dawn said, as ladies, we need to be aware of our surroundings, which we've already mentioned, not having cell phones, etc. Asked, what about sleeping at Walmart? We usually have security. Chad, I personally don't sleep at Walmart. I get annoyed when I go to a Walmart to go shopping and there's 15 trucks sitting there and garbage everywhere. I sleep at Walmarts. Not to mention, them will not let us sleep overnight. They will security and correct. They'll boot the truck. They'll run you out. They'll whatever. You know, so that's an issue in and of itself. I don't carry a gun, Tony, because like I said, I go into Canada, go across state lines, and the laws are different in every state, and there's not one law. So if I carry it from here to Georgia and then I go to Mississippi and I can't have it there, what am I going to do with it? You know, so like I said, why put yourself into that position? Dawn says, you use cords to pull the doors together. Yes, my sister actually figured out a way to put seatbelts in the door handles and then bring them across them and latch the seatbelts. And so every time they pulled on one door, they were tightening the other. I thought that was good. Trust me, that was pretty. Yep. See, there's Ed. Ed said that too. Wrap your seatbelts around your door handles. Yep.
Have you
So,
seen
do
the
you-
new one? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, do you have any other tips or tricks that you girls use when you're out there?
Well,
Yeah.
I've been off the road, so go ahead. Did you want to go, Heather? Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
There was a TikTok video out of a guy who, and he was advocating for women or anybody, I guess, really truck drivers, but to take a bungee cord and hook it on your air horn, open up the window and shut it back. So that way, if your door opens, your air horn blares. And so it's like, that's actually kind of a good little idea, at least you'll know.
That's
But
a really good idea.
But
Yeah.
I carry a little 9-pound min pin who thinks she's 90 pounds. And,
There you
I call
go.
her my little alarm system. So anything, anyone, yeah, she's there barking. So I don't ever I can't say I don't have a quiet night. I just know if somebody's getting close to the truck. So, they're good for just companionship. So,
Yeah, Tink's the same way.
Exactly.
Like if she thinks she's a big Doberman, so if anybody gets close, I mean, she's barking and clawing at the window. So yeah.
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 So I think that's a good scare tactic right there. And I always heard even if you didn't have a pet, to put like a big leash or a big collar in the dashboard to make it look like you might have, a pit bull on board or a Rottweiler, trying to give people the effect that you're not actually traveling alone. So
Correct. Yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah. So it's, we're all responsible for our own safety. Ultimately, it's up to us women to keep ourselves safe. And there's a lot of things that we can do, but so watch out for each other. Watch out for each other. If you see someone walking across the parking lot, keep an eye on her. Make sure they're going to their truck, they're going to the building. I sit up in the front of the truck and people watch for a little stop, and I do that. If I see somebody come and they're either alone or they're aiming for a truck, I make sure they get there and nobody stops them midway. You just never know, and that's all I recommend is watch out for each other.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And can I bring up a different? Go ahead.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No.
I was going to say there's a different avenue. I feel like there's more safety issues with some training programs that go on that involve male, female trainer and trainees. And for the most part, I think probably 99% of the industry, when it comes to trucking companies that offer, the training programs where you ride for 30,000 miles with a trainer. I think 99% of everything's on the up and up. It's the 1% that there is issues. And a lot of the times the women, and I've run across probably in the last year, maybe 20 women I've talked to, they'll say certain things have happened. Well, you need to report it. Oh, I just want to get it over with. And so I think a lot of stuff is underreported. And I think it keeps a lot of women from wanting to get into the industry, thinking, oh, I'm going to have a male train me. And so, like I said, 99% of the men out there are great. They are on point. They're wanting to get all the students trained the same way, male or female. But I've heard more incidents within the company and the training programs than I have like at truck stops or at rest stops or places where like shippers and receivers. So I think that's underreported. And I also feel like if it was reported more, then I feel like the companies might do something about it. So that's something that's out there that I feel like needs to be addressed, or it needs to. Yeah. And I know some companies only do same gender training, male and male, female and female, but there's not a whole lot of female trainers for some companies. And so I feel like that's not going to keep them, that's not going to entice the women to, apply.
Yeah.
So.
No, and that's definitely, I didn't go to truck driving school, but that wasn't an issue for me. But definitely, I mean, I would be right there behind them. You need to report this.
Yeah.
This is definitely something that it goes on. We know it does, and it
Mhm.
needs supported. You cannot, let it go, because they'll go on to bother the next person.
Yeah. And that's the frustrating part when I went in as a trainer, just
Yeah.
specifically for that. And I did request a female trainer when I went through the program.
Yeah.
And I felt like we need more of them out there. And then some of the students afterwards would say, "Oh, this is what happened. You need to tell." I'm not going to tell. I just want to get this over with. It's only 30,000 miles. I only got 10,000 more. I'll be starting over. And to them, it was easier to deal with stuff. Is that Pat want to raise his hand?
Yes, he's raising his hand. He's waiting. I'm making him. He's in detention right now. So when you're done, he will get called on.
Yes, I have a hand up, teacher.
Go ahead, Pat.
Question, Missy, when did you, how long ago did you get your training?
2018. So it'll be 4 years this coming year.
Okay. Here's the thing, and I know it's the same way now. A lot of companies don't actually realize it, though, because I was a trainer for many, many years at many different companies. It's actually illegal for either a trainer or a student to request who trains them or who the trainer trains, what sex or gender. Why? Because it's discriminatory practices, and that company's setting themselves up for lawsuits. So unfortunately, many companies are starting to steer away from the training program because they have to put a male with a female or a female with a male, because by law, they don't have a choice, because they could be sued. And unfortunately, there's too many people coming into this industry just looking for a company that would say, sure, you can go with just a female, or sure, you can go with just a male. Well, then that person's turning around and suing them for discriminatory practices.
Yeah,
I get that.
No, and that is an issue. That is an issue. So it's good to know. So, all right, ladies, I appreciate your input on this issue. One more comment, and that was from Dawn. Dawn suggested taking a course in self-defense.
That's actually a good.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a fantastic idea.
I agree. I say we all get together and we learn how to kick some.
Okay. We'll call it that.
I like that. I like that.
Yes.
I like that. All right, we're gonna run a commercial, and then we will be back with our second topic of the night.
Have you ever thought of live streaming your life behind the wheel? Trucking Life is looking for live streamers. Join Miami Pink Panther, The Misadventures of Pat and Heather, Livin' Lovin' Truckin', That Truckin' Chick, and more. Email us at truckinglife.live@gmail.com for info on how to become part of our growing team of live streamers.
All right, and he's here. Look at that. He's like ready to go. I love it.
Listen, that's brushed hair. It's like the grayer it gets, the drier it gets. I swear.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, it is yours, Pat. Take it away.
All right. Well, hi, I'm Pat from Pat and Heather, The Misadventures, and Tinkerbell's around here somewhere. There's something I want to bring up because it's in the news. It's here. It's now. And it is a myth of driver shortage and supply chain shortage. And the biggest thing is that's not true. It is true, but it isn't true. It's not true in the fact of the product's not there. The product's not available. Kind of, if y'all remember during the first part of the shutdown, when everybody was just, flocking to the stores and taking all the toilet paper and all the cleaning supplies and all that. And they were, and everybody was panicking because they were, they're like, oh, we're running out of toilet paper, we're running out of cleaning supplies. Well, that wasn't true. That was that typical saying amongst the media and politicians of never let a crisis go to waste. And the more you can feed into the public's hysteria, the better ratings are. Because I could tell you for a fact, I was working for a company. What the hell is? Oh, I didn't hit nothing. Hold on, everybody. I can tell you for a fact, the company I was working for, we was out of Oklahoma, and one of the biggest facilities for toilet paper and paper products is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I can tell you that they had trailers full of it. They had crews working 24 hours a day. They had plenty of stock of all paper products and stuff like that. So that was kind of, where the myth comes from of the media, feeding into the public's hysteria so that they can keep ratings going because people tune into them. And it's kind of the same way here with meat products, pork, beef, stuff like that. It's not a supply shortage. It's a driver shortage, but hear me out on this one. It's a driver retention problem. Okay. Now, the president of OOIDA came out, and that's the Owner Operators Independent Drivers Association, which represents professional and small business truckers, issued a response to this claim by the media. We have been hearing this myth for decades. Todd Spencer, who's the president of OOIDA, the real problem is a high turnover and retention issue. Compensation has been falling for years, and the condition has not improved. Truckers or trucking needs to figure out how to keep drivers instead of burning them out. And that's true. I would have to say, and Miami Pink Panther, you've been in it as long as I have, that I was like, what? That freight rates, even being an independent contractor, are slowly starting to go up. And right now, they're pretty much paying a lot better than they have in many, many years.
Yes.
And the same thing with company driver pay rates, to where they were just, it was pretty much, I started in 98. And, I think I was started out at 26 cents a mile.
Yeah.
And
I did in 7, and that was probably, it was 30-cent split for a team.
Yeah, exactly. And and the teams had to run their butts off to make even $1,000, each. And you would have to run, and you're only, you're gone, for weeks on end. You're spending all this money for food out there, all kinds of stuff. And you're only bringing home maybe $600 or $700 a week as a company driver, if you're lucky. And rates, when I got into it, had not changed in 30 to 40 years, because I would talk to, veteran truck drivers. They said the rates have been the same for at least 30 or 40 years, and it hasn't changed. And I think now it's starting to change because the industry, there was a graph that I had, and I should have had Jed upload it, but the rate of pay, along with these trucking companies' growth rate and what they're bringing in, is not matching up. And our generation of truck driver, we were very patient. We had more patience than the new generation coming in. We would actually put up with a lot of stuff from these companies, of which the new generation is the here and now. A lot of these recruiters in these companies will sit there and lie to them and tell them, yeah, you're going to make $100,000 a year. Well, when they go to these companies and they're only finding out they're making $35,000 a year, they're hauling out. And they're like, where's the money? But they're not telling them you'll make that over time. Well, they don't want to do that. They don't have patience. They want that money right now. And when they don't see it, then they leave. And that's the big problem. They're wanting these drivers, especially the new ones, to run, stay away from home, but not pay them anything. I worked for, Heather and I, there was, one company I was working for. We moved out of our place, put our stuff in storage. It was in August, and by June or July of the following year, I had to come off the road because I was having such massive health issues because I wasn't taking breaks, and pretty much come to find out that I burnt myself out.
Yeah.
To the fact of where, my health was affected by it. It was just, like not only physically, but mentally too. And, that's what's what the biggest problem is now too, is our generation is starting to teeter off. They don't want to work, a month at a time. They don't want to, they want to work, a week and maybe go home, or try to get a local job where they're making just as much and go home, which those jobs are out there. But that's the big problem too. So it's, and they don't want to pay anything to these drivers as in the way of benefits, because there's companies out there to where health insurance for, let's say, a driver and his wife is over $200 a week.
Yeah.
And that's ridiculous, because these companies don't want to contribute anything for the driver. And they think, well, we give you a job. It's more than that. You go home every night. We don't. You get to, go on vacations or have 2 days off. And I think the biggest thing too is these companies are, still in this same practice of, oh, well, for every 7 days out, you get 1 day off. Well, how is that right when office staff works 5 days and they get 2 days off?
Exactly. Yeah.
And they have to, these companies don't want to adjust with the industry. And that's a big problem. They don't want to adjust with the way society is changing and evolving. And it's going to become a bigger problem, especially when these automated trucks come out, because they're not going to want to pay the drivers as much, to be in these automated trucks that pretty much do everything. Driver would probably just need to back up and open doors, and that's pretty much what the driver does. So they're going to say, well, we're not going to pay you as much anymore because you're not doing anything. And so that's going to go down while these companies are making more money. Now, I understand the argument of, well, why are they making all this money and not we're making this little amount of money? Because operating costs are going up too, But then, like the last company I was at, I can't really name their name, but for all you guys who know me, know where I was last. These companies are getting away with doing a bunch of sneaky practices towards drivers. Drivers in general. We're abused. We are in a way. It's kind of like, I don't know how to really put it, the Stockholm syndrome. In the trucking industry, we have been constantly abused for so long that we just stay in it, and we look to them, hey, give me a job, let me drive your truck, abuse me and do whatever you want to me, but just let me have that job, and it's got to change. And there's now I heard this transportation secretary just recently, Pete Buttigieg, he was talking about truck drivers and how important we are to it. But, because Heather had posted something, and, when it comes to these politicians, talking, huh?
Yeah. You don't feel like I'm important?
No. And the thing about it is, talk is cheap. I mean, talk is cheap when it comes to these politicians because, Pete Buttigieg doesn't really have any direct, things of what goes on in the trucking industry. That's the FMCSA chairman, director, whatever, of which the majority of those people in the FMCSA, they've never driven a truck before. They don't know what it's like to be out here.
Exactly.
There are a bunch of politicians and business people, why I brought up OIDA. Some people like them, some people don't. There are more actual truck drivers that work for the OIDA organization than work for the ATA, which is American Trucking Association. Because American Trucking Association, if I'm not mistaken, is the one. There's two others out there, or another one out there. I can't remember. I might get them mixed up. But the ATA, I believe, is the whole entire board is nothing but trucking company CEOs. And they sit there and they pretend like they have our best interests. They don't care about us. They sit there and they use the ATA name to make it look, oh, yeah, we care about you. But that's not it. I mean, they're the ones that have pushed for all these regulations on us, and it hasn't been the federal government. It's been the American Trucking Association and a couple others. Now, the OIDA, like I said, I don't agree with everything they do, and I think that, they could work harder in sometimes, but, I think they're our best voice out there. But I think that the trucking industry, they love us when they need us and toss us aside when they're done with us.
And they don't.
The squirrel mentality. I talked to you, Angela, about that the other day. It's the squirrel mentality. COVID shut down the country. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, we're opening back up. Squirrel. And that's how we're looked at in this industry, and it's sad. And this industry has done it to themselves when it comes to automated trucks, and the way we're treated because we've put up with it. I mean, look at these truck stops. The Pilot Flying J, the TAs, Petros, all them. We've put up with how they price gouge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they blatantly price gouge because now they didn't used to charge us for parking. Now they're charging us for parking. It's like whoever charged for parking. I mean, it's bad enough that you charge us, $3 for a fountain soda. You charge people, what is it, like $15 now, to weigh your truck.
Mm-hmm.
Showers are, like $20. It's like, and it's like, why? Those prices haven't gone up on anything. I mean, the scales, the cat scale, my God. I mean, they're the same cat scales that have been in that spot forever, but yet they think, oh yeah, we need to charge more. I mean,
no, and we put up with it. We accept it. It's the truck stop. We put up with it. We shouldn't be accepting this price.
Well, no. I mean, look at how it was when Walmart first started coming out and started getting big. They didn't care that we went into the parking lots and we went shopping and stuff like that, and we would stay there overnight. Nobody cared. I mean, a lot of it is drivers have done it to themselves, by throwing their poop bags and piss bottles and all that, and it's like, have some couth, but they don't, and I don't know why. I mean, they live up to that stereotype that we've gotten. You know what I'm saying? To where, we're scumbags, we're drug addicts, we're rapists, we're, child molesters, we're murderers, all that kind of stuff. And they just keep feeding into that stereotype by some of their actions. But, now Walmart's gotten to the point to where when they build Walmarts, they make these stupid little concrete islands to where you can't actually get a truck into anymore. And then the new thing that they're pulling is putting boots on semis and charging them $1,200 to take a boot off.
Yeah.
You know, and
Good. So
even if you go in and shop at some Walmarts.
Yeah, you brought up the ATA, and so I was looking over some stuff online and trying to find out what are the biggest issues for drivers. And I found that the issues that drivers think are important are not the same thing that motor care are important. So I wanted to compare the list. Okay. The number one thing for drivers is compensation. Compensation and parking were tied. Okay, that's the number one issue for drivers.
Oh yeah.
Compared to the motor carriers, number two is a driver shortage. Worried about most.
Right.
For drivers, the second most important issue is detention, being delayed at facilities.
Oh yeah.
That costs
us
money.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And the thing about it is these shippers and receivers, they don't care.
No, they don't.
But if you're late by 5 minutes, they're wanting to charge you and make you wait hours. But if you make your appointment time, it's okay if they miss their appointment time and get you in a couple hours later, and you can't turn around and pop them.
It's definitely a double standard. Definitely a double standard. So that is followed by fuel prices, and especially for us owner operators, we're watching every penny. Driver training standards, hours of service rules, the ELD mandate, distraction, infrastructure, and CSA. That's on the list of drivers. That's important to the driver. On the motor carrier side, it's the driver shortage, driver retention, lawsuit abuse, the CSA, compensation, insurance costs.
Yep.
Diesel tech shortage, transportation infrastructure, and detention is last on their list.
They don't care.
Lot when they're not worried about how their drivers are going to get paid. It's not important enough.
Yeah, they're worried about themselves.
About it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, like when it comes to the ATA, they just use that name to hide behind, but yet they're putting more restrictions on us while they're putting more money in their own pockets. And like where I'm at right now, they're a company that's learning, that maybe is trying to get better, but they have to understand that when it comes to independent contractors, owner operators, you have to understand that those guys, that the fleet managers and the planners are working for them. The owner operators and independent contractors are not working for the company that they're with, and hold on, I gotta keep getting something popping up here. And the mindset of companies and thinking that they can treat drivers any way they want has got to change, because they're going to continue to have this problem, especially with the new generation coming in. They're not going to put up with it. They're just going to go leave and go work somewhere else.
Yeah.
And not necessarily driving. I mean, for many, many years, I've said, that these companies need to make these trucks, okay, the inside of these trucks, in these sleepers, stuff like that, driver friendly. Put everything in the back of this truck to make it an actual, like an apartment, like they're at home. Make them want to stay out longer. Give them satellite TV. Give them satellite radio. Give them, an actual nice bed to be in. Give them all the comforts of home. Buy them that microwave. Buy them that skillet and all that stuff. But yet they don't want to do that, but they want to give themselves $1 million salaries and not invest in the company itself. And I get it. You might stop the turnover rate so bad. The turnover rate is just so god awful.
It's horrible. One of the things that I'm sure you've heard, we've been hearing about it for almost 20 years, is give 18-year-olds CDLs.
Right.
That's their solution to the shortage.
Well, I can't agree with that. And I know it's not going to be popular, but I'm sorry. But at 18, 19, 20 years old, the maturity level that you need out here, the common sense level that you need out here, you don't have it. You don't have it at 18, 19, and 20 years old. You don't care. You're looking at how fast you can drive down the road, look cool. And I'm going to tell you right now, I could pick a greenhorn out half the time because they're in cowboy boots, tight jeans, a cowboy hat, and a button-up shirt. And it's like, you just got your license, because there ain't no real veteran out here that's got any common sense that's going to be wearing a cowboy hat and cowboy boots. We're wearing flip-flops, or we're wearing sneakers, and we're probably wearing shorts, because we sure as hell ain't wearing no tight pants for 9-10 hours.
I agree with that. I don't care how much training you have. 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old have the maturity and experience. Have being a certain age doesn't make you have experience. And
right.
I fully believe the last thing that we need out here is immature drivers.
Well, yeah, especially when these trucking schools like Roadmaster, 3 weeks you have your license. You don't know what the hell you're doing in 3 weeks. CR England, they've got their however long their training program is, and then once you're done with being just getting your license, then they have you start training somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
And you haven't even been through a full season.
Yeah.
If the government wants to do something, then they need to fix the training programs. But then again, we don't want the government involved, because, I think the biggest problem too is they need to get rid of the medical requirement. That medical requirement is sidelining a bunch of good truck drivers because of a greedy medical system. And that's what it is. It's a greedy medical system. Okay, if they got sleep apnea, cool, whatever. If they are overweight, then, let's start changing stuff with the truck stops. Get rid of the crap food that they serve. Get rid of all this fried food. Get rid of the Wendy's that are in these truck stops, the McDonald's, the Burger Kings, the Hardee's, the Carl's Jr. Get rid of all that crap. Start giving better, options out there, but they're not going to do that.
They're not.
And if they do, you can walk into a McDonald's and get a burger for $1.25.
Yeah.
You walk out into the lobby of that Love's, and go grab a salad, it's going to cost you $5 or $7.
Yeah.
They've got to change their mindset, but they're not going to, because they're greedy. I mean, and there's so many, like I said, there's so many companies out there that are mistreating drivers. I mean, like the last one I was at, of course, what the national fuel surcharge is. It comes out every week. Well, the company I was with would lie to the driver, take 2 extra cents off of that, put in their own pocket, and then on top of that, they took away our fuel discount that they were giving us, because it was like 40 to 80 cents a gallon off, and sticking it in their own pocket. So they were making buku bucks off of the drivers. And it's that kind of stuff that turns drivers away. I went through a training program when I was a recruiter for who the hell was I with? What company? Tri-State. And and I went through a training program from I can't remember who they were. But they handle a lot of that kind of stuff, the advertising, trying to recruit people, stuff like that. And they said that the average driver will know within the first day how long they're staying.
I think I'm on.
You are on, Ed. You made it.
There we go. Hi.
There you go. All right. Well,
everyone
this is
who's
Ed
watching the
Plow.
stream has not. Everyone who's watching the stream has not known, but we are. I have been sitting here for like the entire
Yeah.
thing trying to get on.
No, I've been watching it. So this is Ed Plow, and he is part of our team here at Trucking Life. And he was actually we've been trying to get him in for about the last 25 minutes. so Ed, we have a few more minutes left, so I want to give you a chance to talk. Okay. We've been talking about the driver shortage that's been in the news and our opinions on it. So go ahead, the floor is yours.
Okay, I have 4 pages of notes, so I'm going to try and get through this. I was prepared, but not for technical difficulties. So I agree a lot with what Pat said. Pat, you shared a lot of good information. I'm going to try not to step on your toes here and repeat anything that you said because there's a little bit of overlap here. But there's some really good articles by both Time.com and Jalopnik.com that I got a lot of this information from. But basically, you know, when I joined the industry back in 2012. It was because I read an article that's saying the exact same things that these lobbying groups are saying right now, is that we're short, you know, somewhere between 80 and 120,000 drivers. So the narrative has not changed, even though we're a decade later. But yeah, you guys were talking about how we're trying to get 18 to 20-year-olds into trucks right now. There's a pilot program that was passed under the new infrastructure bill that's mandated for a pilot program. So we're going to see 3,000 18 to 20-year-old drivers on the road right now behind the wheel of a big rig. So that's coming to see if the 21-year-old requirement, dropping it, is feasible. Let's see. So, you know, basically what Pat and you, Angela, were saying is it's not so much about fixing the driver shortage as it is to opening up a new market of younger, inexperienced drivers that will accept lower wages and maybe even poor working conditions instead of just doing what needs to happen, which is we need to increase driver wages. In a capitalist economy, the only thing that creates a work shortage is low wages. Let's see, there are more CDL holders in the US than there are trucks to drive. One stat that I found was in California alone, there are 140,000 transportation jobs, but there are 650,000 active Class A and Class B license holders. The average retention rate in the entire industry is 92%. So what that means is that for every 10 drivers that work for a company, 9 of them at the end of the year will not be working for that company at the end of the year. However, if you switch over to a transportation company that is unionized, the retention rate is 14%. So that means that of those same 10 drivers, only one of them, maybe 1.5 of them, will quit over the course of a year. And that's because, you know, with a union, you're going to have more of a voice. You're going to be able to collectively bargain for those higher wages, for those better working conditions, for those better benefits. Let's see. Wages in the industry have been stagnant for years, have not kept up with inflation or with other industries that require skilled labor. A study by the Bureau of Labor Statistics says that there is not, nor has there ever been, a driver shortage. Let's see. And it's basically a lot of other stuff that Pat has already said. I found this other stat says that of the current $6.5 million driver capacity, that's how many drivers are out on the road today in the United States, that capacity is underutilized. Most drivers only average 6.5 hours of driving a day, even though there's an 11-hour driving limit. Someone did the math and said that if we increased that average by 18 minutes per day per driver, that is the equivalent of hiring 80,000 new drivers, thus eliminating the driver shortage. However, by eliminating that driver shortage, we all know supply and demand. We're in a capitalist society. That's going to lower our overall freight rates, which for any owner operators, that's detrimental to your bottom line. That could force a lot of people out of business. And another thing that Pat was talking about as far as younger drivers being more crash prone, the statistic is fatal crash rate for teenage drivers is 3 times higher than it is for any driver over the age of 20. So you're going to see a lot more accidents out on the side of the road. You know, I'm sure there's plenty of teenagers out there that can do the job. I don't want to disparage young people at all from joining the industry, But at the same time, it's just the statistics. That's a hard word for me. And I believe that is everything that I had written here that doesn't step on Pat's toes there. So yeah.
Ow!
He felt that all the way up in Wisconsin.
Yeah, exactly. No,
you know,
a lot of
I will tell you too, something that
points,
doesn't.
a lot of good points.
I will tell you that something that doesn't help is, and I'm going to talk about it, is that whole case with that driver out in Colorado. Okay.
Yeah, I've been thinking about him a lot lately too. Same
You
thing.
know, the way the court system, or actually the governor got involved in that when there was laws set up, I think was wrong. And here's why. You know, a lot of people that are saying, you know, that were supporting him and saying, hey, we need to get him out of jail or get his sentence reduced. They didn't look at the whole entire story. They didn't look at all the facts involved in there. There was a bunch of things that led up to that. One, he knew that he had problems with his brakes before he even got to the top of that mountain. Okay, because he even called in and said that there was something wrong with his brakes. Two, he lied about his experience to get the job. Okay, he didn't have the proper training to get the license to begin with. It was pretty much one of those, you know, quick payoff, you know, and they're notorious down there in South Florida for that. That much I know. And two, there's video of. Huh?
Is that how you
Well, you're
got
from
yours?
California.
Is that
That's
how
probably
you
where you
know?
got yours.
I got mine out of a Cracker Jack box. Okay, let's.
There
be
you go.
honest.
Well, I just
I'm
started
still
driving
paying
yesterday.
for mine. There's a lot
Yeah.
of finger pointing going on in this stream.
Oh, yeah.
I'm still paying for mine 10 years later.
Oh no,
God.
there's the finger point for Angela. She knows that one.
There's the finger pointing.
But I
No,
mean,
but
the video out there of this guy
I think
swerving
that
all
they're-
over the road,
Yeah.
missing the runaway truck ramps, and they're like, "Oh well, he probably didn't know what they were for." I don't care who you are. You know what they're for. You know as a kid driving past them what they're for. And when he made the dumb decision to take other people's lives rather than his, you know, that was, and then they want to sit there and cry because he got 100 and something years, you know, and then they go, well, what about his life? It's ruined. Well, what about the dead people, the people that he killed and their family? Not only is their life ruined, but their life's ended. They can never come back. They can never have freedom. They can never, you know, go out with their family or see their grandkids or what have you. And then the governor decided to get involved, of which he shouldn't have gotten involved, and reduced it down to 10 years. How is 4 people's lives, okay, and multiple people that were not only injured physically but mentally for the rest of their life worth just 10 years? You know, there's got to be more consistency, you know, when it comes to punishment in this industry, so that it deters people from doing stupid stuff. Now, it's not going to deter everybody. You know,
No, but I think that you've brought up some very good points. It's a flawed system, and it's a multiple flawed system. The flawed training system. It's a flawed qualification system. It's a flawed justice system. And the three have to mesh at some point. But
well, and the problem with doing that too is then you're having the federal government come back in and get more involved, which is truckers. We all know that's what's destroying this industry is the federal government. And they're over-regulating. You know, like I said, we're over-regulated, we're underpaid, and we're overworked.
exactly.
Hey, Pat, do you have sheets on your bed back there? Did you know there's a regulation for that?
Yeah, you're supposed to have a weight sheet.
It's
A white sheet.
Yeah,
It is. You have to. It is actually a law.
But you have, if it has a bed in the back of it, there has to be adequate bedding on that bed. That's an actual regulation in the green book there. I found it one day when I was just flipping through it, and I couldn't believe it was an actual regulation for it.
But here's the thing, Angela. You are required by FMCSA law to carry a white sheet in your truck to cover up and identify a dead body at the scene of an accident. That is an actual rule.
They'll get a pink
I
one.
didn't read that one, but I believe it.
Oh yeah, it's an actual. It's stupid.
So,
It's like,
Yeah.
when did I become a doctor to be able to pronounce somebody dead?
There you go. Well, I
Yeah.
want to say we have brought up a whole bunch of other topics, and I don't over
yeah.
by any means. So I definitely want everybody here tonight and everybody else who can come on at any time. Let's keep the debate going, because we've brought up a lot of other topics that should be talked about. Okay.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
I
I mean,
wanted to answer some of the questions that we've got. We've gotten some good questions. My beautiful sister Nadine asked, what if the drivers got together and started a petition issues? I wish it was that simple. I wish it was
Yeah.
that simple, because there's been strikes, there's been talk of strikes, there's
oh,
been, so many. It's not that simple. So it
Right.
just isn't.
there is no unity or brotherhood in this
No, there
industry that was it like
No, there
in
isn't.
the late 70s, early 80s. It's just not.
Yeah. Dawn says my pink sheet's got to go. Never, Dawn. Never. Okay. All right, you guys. I
Well,
want to thank.
I do want to add.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead, Ed.
yeah. I just wanted to add one thing here. Something to keep in mind is that a lot of drivers complain about the lack of brotherhood out on the road. Two issues with that. One is we have to recognize the toxicity that exists in the industry. If you turn on your CB on the channel 19 there in the traffic situation, you're going to run into a lot of very nasty people being very nasty to each other. But also, secondly, go ahead.
No, very true. I hardly ever turn mine on for that reason.
Exactly. Mine is off. That's why I have an extremely cheap CB radio. It hardly ever gets used. But then the second thing is that a lot of drivers are actively steered away from any sort of unionizing or organizing or anything like that. I remember my first company that I joined up with. There's a page in the employee handbook actively telling you, do not sign the paper, do not join a union or anything like that, because any issues that you have can just be brought up with management, and that'll fix everything.
Yeah, even though when you bring them up, they ignore you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think
You don't
that's
like it?
something
Go
that,
somewhere else.
right. I know that truckers tend to skew conservative, and I'm going to get a little political here. They tend to skew conservative, and so therefore unionizing and things like that can sometimes be a dirty word. But yeah, I think it's something that really we need to start considering, because I think it's the only way that we as an industry can come together and say enough is enough and start actually doing some changes around here.
Yeah, the only big
And that's
problem
another topic.
Yeah,
Yep, that's another
it's
topic.
just the corruption in unions, and it's till that gets fixed. I don't think the unions are already in the industry. They're in the big carriers and stuff like that. But even those carriers that are unionized are going out of business. There's just not that many of them anymore like there used to be.
Yeah. Now the only one I can really think of is the oil field unions and UPS. I know UPS drivers are unionized.
Yeah, UPS and I think Yellow. No,
know.
USF. USF, they're all
Maybe.
union.
Or do you mean UCF?
No, I think it's USF. Yeah, USF
Okay.
Dugan, USF.
Oh, USF. I'm thinking YCF. That's what I'm thinking of. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yellow Freight. I don't think they're union. Yellow is.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Ed. We appreciate you coming on here, Ed. Yeah, exactly. All right, we're gonna run a commercial. We're gonna run a commercial. We're gonna let Pat hide in shame, and we'll be back.
I'll go try this. Is the mean lady still there?
Yes, she is.
Green lady's right here. Oh my gosh. All right, girls. Well, I'm gonna say we had a lot of great comments. And I'm gonna shout out Dawn, first of all, because Dawn is always here for everything. She is on all of our pages watching. She has been a great commenter. She has been on every show making comments. So, Dawn, we love you and we appreciate everything that you say, everything, hang out with her. And she told me first show, everyone, and there's a lot of topics to cover. And she's right. These are topics that will be ongoing. Yes, Mimi,
Yep.
What do you want?
And just one more shout out to thoughts and prayers with the families of the Marines that were injured and died in the Camp Lejeune accident today. So thoughts and prayers with the Marines.
Yeah, no, I agree. We talked about that at the top of the show. So that's an ongoing program. Let me see. Facebook user, we're not sure who that is, said thanks for a great show. Not sure who that's a mystery.
It is a mystery.
And Dawn said love you all. That's great. All right.
That's sweet.
Yep. We're gonna run one more commercial by. Look at him. He's just I'm gonna have to hurt him.
Are you tired of overpaying the IRS year after year? Let me find you every possible legal deduction to reduce your tax liability. Specializing in over-the-road drivers, owner-operators, and their families, I can help you. We have a free mobile app and same-day cash advances available. Contact me, Sarah Darling, at 903-932-8249 or email sarah.darling@lgmfinancialconsulting.com. We are an authorized IRS e-file.
All right, so we know who the Facebook user is. That is Jane Furtlanger. So
Okay.
we love her too. She is here for everything, and so we
Oh, yeah,
want to
yeah.
make sure she got a little notice there.
Oh yeah.
Great show, you guys. Thank you for everyone who has participated. Okay.
Jane
We
is the
love you
goat.
all. Everybody be safe.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll see
Enjoy
y'all
that-
Sunday.
Yep. And
Yes.
we will see you back here for Sunday, 11 a.m. Central this coming Sunday. It's going to be a good show. Okay. Love you all. Mwah. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.